Okay, so I'm not normally a social commentator as such. I don't normally talk about things that are going on other than professional wrestling. Don't normally talk about other aspects of life, which I keep meaning to do, like I share on my podcast, which Neil Malone's Wrestling and Life podcast on Podomatics or iTunes. I keep saying that I will talk about other things, and you know what? Today I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about a various couple of subjects that have been obviously in the news recently. First of all, this past Friday was the 14th anniversary of the 9/11 uh, tragedies. Now, I know that certainly New York, the city of New York, uh, gets a lot of attention, gets a lot of focus on them, on Ground Zero, on the Twin Towers, and obviously there were several planes actually involved in that entire day. There was several other planes that actually crashed, and then one into the Pentagon, and there was one, I think, nearby, some sort of things like Pennsylvania or something, that the passengers actually fought back and brought down the plane so it wouldn't hit its intended target. I think it was Camp David. I think it's like the president's kind of vacation home that was potentially, I think, the target for that plane, and the passenger did something I probably would never be able to do, and that is fight back against the hijackers. Unfortunately, it cost them their lives. But like I said, New York gets a lot of the focus. I was there in New York in 2013. A lot of stuff on my YouTube channel here that you can see. A long video about tour in New York. It lasts over an hour. Takes about an hour and 40 minutes or something. Never been there before. Never been in America before. Certainly, everybody knows. Osama bin Laden, he really put out there a couple of videos after 9/11 saying that this would kill New York, that New York would become a desolate place, abandoned, it would kill the city. And obviously, we all know that it certainly didn't. Being there in 2013, and I was actually there during the week of the 11th of September, in 2 years ago. The city is still well alive, thriving, scarred certainly, but absolutely still alive, still kicking, still there. Like I said, a little bit scarred. It's kind of like I don't know. It's difficult to really have a simile about a human body, but perhaps I don't know. Somebody having perhaps their appendix out, because that leaves a scar, and that leaves obviously, that it's gone. It's permanently away. So it's kind of like that, but you can still go on. You can still, and I know the families will not heal. The families will always miss those loved ones, the family and friends of those who passed away, those innocent victims who were killed. And I certainly remember coming in from college that day of 9/11, having and witnessing those events. It was all over obviously the UK news channels. The first plane had hit there first. Obviously, we all thought it was an accident, and then I came in between the first plane hitting and the second plane hitting. So I saw the second plane when obviously, as I said, everybody thought it was an accident, something's gone wrong with the plane, so the plane's gone into one of the towers, and then the second plane hit and everything unravelled from there, and we understood always very quickly what was going on with all the reports. Certainly possibly looking at going back into New York sometime next year. It's not completely confirmed yet, but we're certainly looking definitely towards it, and it's likely to happen. Hopefully by then I'll have my better camera, because the camera I have is just like a touristy camera. So I was just sitting here while I was doing the memory card stuff for next week, a couple of events. It's just a touristy camera thing. I'm going to get a better camera. I got some great shots in New York actually. when I was there last night. I want to get a bit better camera, so I got a great camera, so I can get some really good shots of New York, put them up bobsleigh. All of that stuff will be up on my YouTube channel sometime next year, whenever we go, and when I come back, I'll put all that stuff up on YouTube. So it's certainly a very horrible anniversary, and I would say, before I move on to the other couple of subjects I want to talk about, I know it's difficult, but I do want the horror of 9/11 to be remembered. I want it to be remembered, because, as the saying goes, the easiest way to forget is to remember. Now, the reasoning behind that saying, that it's the easiest way to forget is to remember. It's all these anniversaries. Right now we are going through the anniversaries of the World Wars. It's a whole big thing here in the UK. I don't know whether it's what it's like in America or worldwide, like places like Germany, Italy, France. I don't know what the kind of social kind of atmosphere is like about anniversaries when it comes to the World Wars, but certainly here in the UK there's a lot of them. There's battles of Britain, there's various battles, there's various I don't know, strikes like the Dam Busters, there's various different moments in the war that is always being remembered. So I don't know what it's like in other countries. And all these anniversaries, if there's one after another, after another, after another, after another, then a lot of people will just say, okay, it's another anniversary. It's the anniversary of this week. It's the anniversary of that tomorrow. Oh, it's the anniversary of this in a couple of days' time. They'll get bored. People will get bored, especially some of the younger generation don't really quite understand it. But I obviously only, early 30s, wasn't certainly not around in those days. Didn't experience any of the world wars completely at all. So it's very. I mean, there are unfortunately very few people now that do have them. That have the living memories of the world wars, but it's the younger generation. A lot of people will just, okay, it's just it's yet another anniversary of yet something else, and they won't pay attention to it because there's so many anniversaries. Some people will, and I'm not saying everybody will, because a lot of people will pay attention to those kind of anniversaries, but a lot of people will just ignore it because it's yet another. Oh, what were they marking now? Oh, they're marking the Dam Busters. Okay, it's D-Day now. It's such and such, and then such and such again next week, and so on. There's so many anniversaries. A lot of anniversaries of various things, not just world wars, happen these days. Obviously, with all thousands and millions of years of history that the Earth has. It's always the anniversary of something. You look up probably today, it's the anniversary of something significant. If you look at whatever it's, whether it's a battle, whether it's world wars, Boer War, whatever, some place in some time in history, it may be an event, anniversary of an event which may turn out to be significant, and some people they'll just ignore it. It's another event, and so I want the real blood and horror and shock and everything about 9/11 to be remembered. And some people may not agree with that. Some people may not quite understand where I'm coming from in that, but it's important to remember it. The impact that these events had. I mean, they say I can't remember. Was it the there is no period of history as dark to us as recent history. It's something like that. It basically means that very recent history, when things happen, it will only be in years to come that we realise, oh, that was actually significant. That was a game changer. That was something that changed, the world quite a bit. It may be not, and obviously it cannot. Well, normally it's not a big a change as 9/11. We all instantly recognised what a change this was. Even watching it, and everybody knew this is going this is going to stir some stuff up. This is going to change some stuff tremendously. We all, I think certainly people that were watching it of a decent age recognise that instantly. So I really want the blood, the horror, the guts, the shock of that event to be remembered, because it is so significant. Like I said, people will just become blasé about these kind of anniversaries, and it's going to live long in the memory. Obviously, you know, due to all the time passing of the lifespans of human beings, the world, a lot of, pretty much every single event in human history will eventually pass from living memory. Eventually, somebody who was there, or somebody who has witnessed it, or somebody that was alive at the time of it, will eventually pass away, and we will only be remembered. We will only have what, like say nowadays, the newspapers, the video footage, and all of that kind of stuff to remember it. There will not be. I mean, I know, hopefully people, because there's so many interviews and so many documentaries, so many bits of television footage these days, that the people are interviewed are about it, but the real, genuine human feeling of absolute shock and horror of the 9/11 events will fade into to history. So that's why I really want kind of people to remember the shock and horror. And obviously, I'm not talking about educating young children about it. I'm talking about it's like everything, like sex education or religious stuff. You've got to teach children about them a bit at a time. You've got to tell them, kind of try and make them understand it, and then when they're old enough, really, tell them the entire story and really educate them before. I mean, I've always agreed about that kind of things. Those kind of things, sex education, terrorism, and all that kind of stuff, and drugs and all forth. You teach kids in stages. You kind of have them a little bit basic understanding when they're young, and then as they grow older, then you'll colour in the story and tell them the true facts about it. So certainly, it's a very significant anniversary next year, the 15th anniversary, which is I don't know, but I think, to be honest, I think it's because we've got 5 fingers. Like some people, some killers have said, actually, some serial killers, they have said, once you can't count the number of people they have killed on their hands, then it becomes a bit okay. So I've killed 20 people, but you can count it. Say 1, 2, 3. I've killed 3 people, and you know that you can still count that number right there using your fingers. If you killed over like 10 people, when you can't. When you have to start moving your fingers and start counting, people at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is the kind of it's a psychological thing apparently. You've got once you have to really start mathematically calculating the anniversaries and the people you killed or so forth on your fingers. It kind of it washes over you a little bit. Apparently, some kind of psychological thing. I can't remember what it's called. But certainly, the 50th anniversary will be an anniversary that will be really marked. I don't know when we'll be in New York. I don't know whether we'll be in New York on the 11th of September. I doubt it. But it'll certainly be major events going on to mark the anniversary. And certainly, said it, New York still kicking, America is still kicking, still alive, which is more than Osama bin Laden is, thankfully. It took them a few years. It certainly is an anniversary. It's something that I really want people to remember. It really does need to remember the shock, the horror, the blood and the guts. They all needs to be remembered. The only other, one of the other subjects that I want to talk about also is about America, and that is about Kim Davis, the Rowan County clerk from Kentucky. Now, talking about 9/11, remembering all these things. Now, I actually realise that there is a moral compass or moral line in the sand that people really need to actually keep an eye on. They need to look out for it. I understand that, and I understand that there is a point of morality that we need to be careful we don't cross, and the truth is that I mean by that is the likes of people who go around stealing, burglarizing people's home, assault, whether it's sexual or otherwise, murder, rape, all that kind of stuff. We need to keep punishing those people who actually do those kind of heinous acts. Really do. So we really do need to keep punishing people who do those kind of acts. That's kind of the moral line that I mean. Those kind of acts. But it's extreme, and I think we actually had a period in human history that has been extremely difficult. It's been a period in human history that has been I think when it comes to the understanding of what exactly is accepted by the average person in the street, what is looked at to be normal and acceptable, it really has changed over the last, I would say, even about 150 years, 200 years. It's changed absolutely dramatically. Obviously, people, it's that's well, people of the African slaves going to the America and other parts of the world, because it wasn't just America. For the African Americans, having their freedom through Abraham Lincoln, to the there's still obviously a lot of racism across the world, but those kind of people and the Jewish people, obviously also becoming kind of a part of the kind of structure of society, with the whole Middle East situation, which I'll get to talk about in a little while. But it's also includes very recently, the last 20-30 years, the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual community, the LGBT community. I don't think I'm saying it right, but transsexual community, like or transgender community, whatever. That's one of the difficult things is the so-called kind of political correctness, and I'm all for it. I'm going to say before I continue, I honestly don't care whether you're African descent, Chinese, Japanese, Australian, New Zealand, German, Norwegian, whether whatever color, race, color, creed you are, sexuality you are, I genuinely don't care. Because I've grown up with, that's one of the things, the advantage I think of my generation, the early 30s and the continuing forwarding generations, is that we've grown up around people of every race, colour and creed, and so to us it's perfectly normal. So I genuinely don't care, especially watching sports as well. I've watched sportsmen, obviously, like I said, I normally talk about professional wrestling. I've seen athletes from different sexualities. I mean, there's Mexican exoticals who are transvestite wrestlers, and I'm sure there's somewhere there's transsexual wrestlers, and there's the homosexual wrestlers, there's lesbian wrestlers, and that's one of the difficult things as well, the kind of what you call them. I mean, that is certainly one thing that has absolutely changed through my childhood and my life. What you call people, what the I don't know, I don't want to say labels, what wording really is the easiest way to say it. What wording you use to describe somebody? For many years there's been, certainly, I mean, using the African Americans or people of African descent just as an example, because there's an example pops into my head, and it's the easiest one I think that most people understand. Over the many years of my life, we have been told numerous occasions, and this has come from teachers, from adults when I was young, from various people, so many different ways to address them. So, do we call them black? Do we call them African Americans or African Scottish or Afro Scottish? Do we call them, you know, coloured? Do we call them, whatever, loads of different names? Do we call them black? Do we call them coloured? Do we call them African descent? Do we call them African? Do we call them black? Do we call them this, that, or other? There's been so many, genuinely, so many changes over the years of what people said. Oh, hang on, you can't call them that. You need to call them this. Oh, you can't call them black. You need to call them coloured. Oh, you can't call them coloured. You call them African descent. Which, to be honest, it's confusing. It does get confusing, and I'm not like I said, I'm not a racist. I genuinely do not care whether people are whatever race, colour, or creed they are. It's their behaviour that concerns me, and I wish that obviously a lot more people across the world were as open as I am to that kind of behaviour, and more accepting of people. Because I've known a lot. I've known several people in my life that I know it's difficult to judge it from, perhaps as a part of their childhood, part of perhaps what they're taught. Because I know, some people have broken out of their so-called programming that they received as a kid. It's been, I've seen many times in interviews of people that were told during their childhood, for example, you can't trust those people. They're thieves, they're muggers, they're rapists, they're assaulted, they'll kill you. Don't go near them. They'll have a knife, they'll stab you, they'll have a gun, they'll shoot you. They get told this, and obviously, if you get, especially at a young age, if you get told that, especially by somebody like your parents or teachers or something, where obviously kids get their influences from. If you get told that continually by those kind of people who you trust, people who you look up to, you'll obviously start to believe that. You'll obviously, start to actually, be kind of scared of those people. You'll avoid contact with those people because you think, oh, walking down the street, oh, I'm crossing to the other side. He might have a gun, he might have a knife, he might shoot me. Where it might not be the case. You might be walking down the street, and the person, say, just keep it up for an example, because it could be any race, colour, or creed. A person, an African American, you're walking down the streets in New York. That African American guy going past you could be a fireman, could be a paramedic, could be a businessman, could be a multi-millionaire, could be poor, could be could be a number of things. Could even be possibly a gangster, kind of atypical, stereotypical gang member that would kill you, or would if you tried to do anything, or maybe carrying weapons, but it's not necessarily the case. But if you do get that kind of teaching, if you get that kind of education throughout your early years, you will be nervous about having contact with those kind of people. And it's the same as strangers as well. I mean, we're always told, which is good, obviously, to be wary of strangers. So it is difficult to judge people, from education, but it is a pity that people like Kim Davis, the Rowan County clerk from Kentucky, that people like her cannot open their minds. Now, she's the one that's been obviously in the news. She was jailed until recently. She's now been freed. That was refusing, although the federal government, the highest level of government in the United States of America, ruled that gay marriage, homosexual marriage, again, all these terms, and I know various people prefer various terms. Some people prefer them to call themselves gay. Some people prefer to call themselves homosexuals. Some people, some women prefer the term lesbian. Some women don't want to use the term lesbian. I've been watching all these reality kind of program, these documentary things over many years, over well over 30 years now. You hear different viewpoints, and I suppose. Obviously, if you get to know that person, they feel, well, I don't want to be termed as a lesbian. I want to be termed as homosexual. Whatever. It's, you you obviously you alter your language depending on what that particular person wants to be called or described. But normally it does not come up in conversation. They may do obviously sometimes because that's love lives and that are always normally a part of discussions. But it's a sad thing to me that people like Kim Davis cannot open their minds. And to be honest, the whole thing about the Kim Davis situation that really irks at me is the it's really the I can't even say it, the hypocritical nature of her that has been going on in this entire situation. Now, the thing is that she says she's acting under God's authority and that she's protecting the sanctity of marriage. This hypocrisy that is going on there is the fact that she's been divorced about 3 times. She's on husband 4, which I think is the same as husband 2. She's been married 4 times anyway. She's had children. I believe from what I heard on one podcast that a couple of the children may not have even be, at least one child, but may not even, and I say may not have been even fathered by the man who was at that point her husband. So she was going off with, I think it was an ex-husband or an ex-husband, and had a kid with him while she was still married to somebody else. So it really is the hypocrisy of the situation that really irks me. And like I said, I know that there's a moral compass and there's a moral line in the sand that we need to keep an eye on. We need to focus on. We need to keep an eye on. And like I said, murderers, rapists, thieves, all these kind of immoral people to keep an eye on. And as I said, the understanding of people, of human beings and their behaviours and our conditions continues to progress, which is a great thing. And obviously, like I said, African Americans in America, they don't have, and I know there is, like I said, there's still a lot of racism and a lot of stories continually of them being pulled over by the police in their vehicles and constant checks and constant. I kind of understand it to a reason, because of the supposed crime statistics that a lot of African Americans are involved in certain percentages of crime in certain areas. And not just saying all African Americans, I mean certain African Americans. It's obviously the very poor, the ones struggling to make a living, they'll revert to stealing. It is a difficult situation, but it is such a shame that she can't actually open her mind. And to be honest, the acting under God's authority, it's one of those situations that I don't believe it. I don't understand it. It's not as if to be honest, I'm not a deeply religious person. I don't go to church. I mean, like many people, I don't know what happens when we die. I don't know what happens, when we draw our last breath, whether we get reborn. As Hindus believe in reincarnation. I think Hindus, I think Buddhists, believe that it's the end, or like a few religions definitely believe that that's it, that is the end of everything. We become dust, we become nothing. We kind of our energies kind of dissipate into whatever spiritual planes that are that suppose that exist. I don't know, and I'm not judging anybody, like I said, but certainly this, I just don't think I think it's her hypocritical behaviour. I don't think she's really particularly one to judge people because her mind has been closed, because she's refused to, those kind of people that refuse to look and to try and understand the situation, to try and understand, because like obviously, being homosexual, lesbian, gay, transgender, whatever, it's been proved. It's normal. It's been proved that it's part of the human condition. It's not as if, people, somebody has been born, a girl has been born a lesbian. Oh, get her to the hospital. We need to treat that as if it's some form of cancer that she's got, like she's been born with a lump on her leg, or a serious disability, and a serious condition. So it is just hypocritical. I can't even say that word, but it's hypocritical of her, the hypocrisy. Hey, finally see it. The hypocrisy that she has had in this entire situation, and people like her. And I know, like I said, if you, and to be honest, if you study, say, like if you have lived, many years like I have, and you study a subject and it's your belief, like I said, you're very kind of Bible oriented Christian. For that I mean, like, you take the word of the Bible as absolute. What it says in the Bible, you have a particular understanding of what that means, and that's your viewpoint. But you have educated, you've looked at the Quran, you've studied the various religions, or you've had interactions with people of various religions over the years, and you've actually gone and had a good understanding of the entire different religions that have taken place across the world, and you still keep to your particular viewpoint, and that's your viewpoint, but you've studied it, you've actually looked at the subject, you've examined the subject, but you're still sticking with your viewpoint. I understand and I respect that, but I would say to people to try and do that, to study all the different, I have never, unfortunately, other opportunity like kind of to do that in my life, but if you've had interactions with various people, various understandings, various beliefs, whether religious or otherwise, and you've actually taken a look at the subject, but you've come to the decision, well, this is my view, this is what I believe, and this is what I'm sticking to. I can understand and respect that, but I just do not understand and respect the people who continue to keep their minds closed, and really do not give any credence to anybody else's beliefs either. Now, another subject I want to talk about is the whole immigration crisis. I'm sure many people have looked at this situation as well. Now, this is a difficult subject as well to really discuss, and a lot of it is many thousands upon thousands of people fleeing the conflict and wars in Syria and the Middle East. Now, this is an extremely difficult situation as well, because if I was in that kind of area, all that conflict and all that, but I can sit here and I don't need to worry about bombs or gunfire or any kind of war breaking out, or any kind of battles going on that I may have to rush to shelter with, and I'm very thankful for that. And I understand that if you're kind of from Syria and that kind of area, and the conflicts and the wars and all the battles and everything that we have seen in that area going on, I would want to leave that area too, and I would probably be one of the many thousands making my way somewhere else as well. And to be honest, it's a difficult situation, this, because the truth is, there are not the resources to look after all of these people, across Europe. I just don't think that there is the resources, to rehome and rehouse all these people. Obviously, the easiest solution would be to try and resolve the conflict, so everybody who wants to can go home, and hopefully the majority of them would want to go home and reclaim their land and live back home, and it would be a very great thing if it was to possibly happen. That would be great. The truth is that certainly just across Europe there is not right now the resources to look after every single person. There's not the money, there's not the food, there's not, certainly here in the UK, in Europe, there's still a lot of people living, and I'm talking about people from the UK, from Scottish people, English people, Welsh, Northern Irish people, Republic of Ireland people, who live in poverty, who live on a few pounds a day, who are dependent on food banks, who can't get a job. I mean, like so I've been looking for a job for 2 years without success. I went for an interview, this past week, and it was I gave it the big sell. I gave it everything. Still, it was a no. I don't know why, but we're supposed to get feedback on it. So, but there isn't, certainly. I don't think the resources in Europe to look after every person. If we could even and I don't know whether I don't think it would be possible. I don't think, really, to be honest, the governments would do that. But if it would be possible to kind of take these people and obviously not split up families, but to take some of these people and send them something like, I don't know, some of them to say like some Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, and some places, spread them out so that all the resources are not, so that different countries, can actually look after a percentage of them. Just certainly in the meantime, well, I don't know. I'm really, I obviously hope that all the conflicts we've had in the Middle East and that are eventually resolved, because they've been going on for years. This is not just a thing that's happened in the last few months. This is not a situation that has arisen within the last year, 18 months, 2 years. I've seen a couple of journalists actually on Sky News, on BBC, on ITV, pretty much indicate that, but it's not. This whole situation's been going on for well over 50 years, since the Israel, Iran, the Gulf Wars. It's been going on my entire lifetime. So it's not exactly all these conflicts in the Middle East and the displacement of millions of people have been going on for 50, 60 plus years. It's not just going on in these last couple of years. This whole situation is not just a sudden development. It's been going on for many, many years. It's just that it's got worse over the past couple of years, past year, 18 months, 2 years, and then obviously suddenly you see this entire sudden displacement through everybody. Now, like I said, it's really unfortunate. If we could take everybody here in the UK, I would say, yeah, open the gates, let everybody in, or let in many people who want to come here. And I know a lot of people wanting to go to Germany, some people want to go to Switzerland, Austria. There's various people on various travels, and it's been one of the great things about this situation, that so many people are being followed by journalists. There was one lady that going to Austria. She was accompanied by a BBC crew and a journalist, and I think she had family in Austria somehow. I couldn't. I'm not entirely sure of the entire story, but she certainly had family in Austria, and she was making her way to Austria to live with them. Obviously seeking a better life, all the way from Syria. She was like the last kind of stages of a journey from, I think it's Budapest. Obviously, we saw the whole thing with the Budapest railway station and the train station being closed, and only those with the proper documentation and that being allowed on the trains to travel further across Europe. It's a very difficult situation, obviously, because you have all of these people, and obviously suddenly got these kind of governments in Hungary and Austria and Germany. They have a sudden huge influx of people that they need to try and provide for, but they've got their own people to provide for as well. And like you said, certainly here in the UK, I know there's been a lot of talk in these past week about taking in refugees, and I have to say that the image of that 3-year-old boy dead in a soldier's arms after being washed up, it's a heartbreaking image. It really is. If you haven't seen it, go and search it out. It is a heartbreaking image, and it is a bit ridiculous that when it comes to these situations, it takes an image like that and a situation and occurrence, an absolute tragedy like that, to change people's minds. But it needs. I think this whole situation needs to be spread across Europe and across the world, because I genuinely don't believe that here in the UK we definitely absolutely do not have the resources to look after everyone. Like I said, if we could, we'd open all the gates, we'd let a lot, as many people as we could in. But we've still got a lot of people unemployed. We've got people living off food banks. We've got people who are really struggling with money, hardly any money at all. Families that really dirt poor, living way below the breadline. So it is a very, very difficult situation because I'm not trying to. I know how this is possibly sounding to some people that he says he doesn't matter, but he doesn't he doesn't really is bothered about the people of different race, colours and creeds, but yeah, he's going on about kind of protecting his own. To a degree that is correct, but it's we do need to kind of build we do really need to help our own people so that we are in the situation where we can help others. And that's been it's one of the saddest things about society, even here in the UK still in 2015, that there are so many people living homeless, living off food banks, unemployed people. There are not enough jobs to go around. That is the sad truth. This is the likes of here in Dundee. That's why there's a lot of people unemployed here in Dundee. And there is. I go down to the job centre every 2 weeks to sign on, and I see a lot of people there. I go to various course things, and I see a lot of people there. It's just, it really is just a sad. It is a sad part that we don't have the resources to look after everyone. So that is why it really needs to be concerted effort by the entire Europe, and that's the one thing that's really kind of really being weird to me over this last couple of weeks, that there doesn't seem to be any huge major meeting of the powers in Europe, whether it be NATO, the European Community, or the world leaders. There really hasn't been. I mean, perhaps they've been doing it over phone lines, and possibly online, but there's not been a kind of a called for major meeting of the European powers to decide how in actual fact to deal with this situation. And like I said, it's going on for many, many years, 60 plus years at least, that like the formation of Iran and Iraq and and Israel and all of those kind of countries. It's been going on for many, many years, so it isn't a situation that has been building up. And certainly part of the situation about the immigrants and the refugees that has been building up for many, many years is certainly the Calais situation. Now, I saw a report a few weeks ago by a BBC journalist, and part of that report was a live interview with, I believe it was the mayor, the vice mayor, the second in command anyway, the vice mayor, the assistant mayor, whatever it was, certainly second in charge when it comes to the mayorship of the French town of Calais. Now, I know some people actually don't realise that there is a town, I don't know whether you call it a town, a city, a village, I don't know, probably more a town or a city, but there is an actual place in France called Calais. It isn't just a port. The port is actually named after the town. And the vice mayor, the assistant mayor, he actually stated that all of these people, actually, all these refugees, all these wannabe asylum seekers and immigrants, and that they were all in Calais. It was all because of a British problem. I have to severely disagree with that. The truth is, part of the problem is, as well, and I know it's probably partially their hands are tied legally a bit, but the French authorities' handling of the situation has become part of the problem as well. Now, I don't know how many people across the world really truly understand exactly what the processes are when it comes to Calais. Now, I've seen several documentaries, several of these reality series, actually showing the processes in the French port of Calais. And by that I mean, what happens there? Now, obviously, at Calais there is British customs officers. Now, their job is to search vehicles, normally heavy goods vehicles, lorries, trucks, obviously carrying goods from Europe into the UK for illegal immigrants. Those people who have somehow broken into lorries or heavy goods vehicles, hidden amongst the loads, obviously, in attempts to get across the English Channel and land on UK soil to seek. Obviously, and I understand a lot of them. They'll come from horrendous situations that I could not even imagine, and that I would not even remotely want to be in, and I can't even really dream of. Some of the stories that I've heard over the years have been absolutely horrendous. But they have the British customs people there. They search a lorry. Say they find and they do normally every night. They've normally found at least a few trucks with, or heavy goods vehicles with immigrants hiding in them. They do use like CO2 probes, so it looks for carbon dioxide, which is something that is made when people breathe. And I know there are various ways that the immigrants try to hide under black bags, so that it kind of blocks the carbon dioxide, which is dangerous because you can't breathe that carbon dioxide. It can poison you and eventually kill you if you breathe too much of it in, and obviously cough. It'll fill the area of the bag, and no oxygen will be able to get in there for you to breathe, and you'll eventually pass out and die as well. So it's very dangerous. The various ways that they can block it, but say the British customs officers that were searching the goods, they find, say, 5 illegal immigrants hidden in a lorry. They take them out of the lorry when they move the lorry to a search area. They take the immigrants out. They take the details of these immigrants if they can, or as many details as they can. They then hand them over to the French authorities. Now, the French authorities then do nothing more than take those 5 immigrants to the gates, to the other side of the gates of the port of Calais, and release them. Now, I understand a lot of times their hands are tied. A lot of the immigrants, to get rid of their documents so they can't prove which country they're from, where their citizenship is, where their home is. So it's very difficult, I believe, to deport them. But that's part of the problem that the French authorities have been making for years. That they just simply take the immigrants to the other side of the fence and they release them. It's amazing to if you watch any of these series. It's amazing. They literally stop I've seen it on several occasions. On one occasion, it was unbelievable. They literally stopped, turned the corner outside the gates of the port of Calais, stopped right there on the kind of wheels half on the pavement, opened their door, got out, opened the doors, and let the immigrants out. The immigrants were to stand there, I don't think, maybe not quite understanding what was going on, and the French authority guys go back into the car and drove away, leaving the immigrants free to try again and again and again until they get to the UK. So it has been at least partly a French authorities problem, because I know it's extremely difficult, like I said, to get documentation, and there's thousands of them, but it really has been a problem that's been building up partly on the French authorities' behalf for many, many years. And so, it's their partly, obviously, their handling of the situation which has made it very worse. And it's also very difficult, obviously, because the UK, Great Britain, is a very attractive place for a lot of immigrants, a lot of people to come to. And I've seen interviews with immigrants through translators on the news and various programs. The fact is that obviously many of them actually have a misunderstanding of what happens when they get to the UK as well. I've seen interviews, especially recently, with various immigrants where they completely misunderstand the situation. Many of them think, and again, many of them come from situations we can't even dream of, and they live, many of them I said, are looking for just simply a decent standard of living. Even a lot of the worst standard of living is usually obviously better than the standard of living that they've had in places like Syria and the Middle East and across the world, and live really in horribly extreme poor conditions. But many of them misunderstand it. Many of them, some recently interviewed a couple of weeks ago, when I was originally going to do this video. A couple of them actually misunderstood it. They thought that once they got their feet on the UK soil, that they would be instantly given a house. They would instantly be given a job and instantly be given money in order to live, and they would, as soon as their feet touched down, they would be able to say, hands up, I'm here in the UK, you can't do anything about it. And the journalist, credit to the journalist, I can't remember what his name was now, but credit to him, he's an older guy, certainly late 40s, about maybe 50 years old. He did try to educate them and try and tell them that wasn't the way. In fact, they would have to apply for asylum, that they would have to go various processes. They wouldn't be instantly handed a job, they wouldn't instantly be handed a house and money, and they would instantly be given a lot of things. And he did try to educate them in this, and they wouldn't believe them, to be honest. Obviously, they have that belief, like you said. They have that belief. That's the way things work. No, even one of them said, no, you're joking, you're having us on. That is the way we know, it's the way we've been told, that's the way. I suppose it's a kind of Chinese whispers situation about all these dreams, and it comes back to kind of a Dick Whittington story that the streets are paved with gold, I suppose, kind of way. But it's been built up. This whole situation that immigrants have been built up over by many years. Like it's not a situation that's going to be resolving itself very soon. Unfortunately, it is a situation that's going to be very difficult to really get a grip on. And like I said, I don't know, to be honest, where we go now from here in this situation. I know, like I said, there have been lots of calls for the UK to take on loads and loads of refugees or immigrants, and like I said, we do have to, I hate to say this, we do have to limit them to a degree. I know there's been a lot of controversy that people, I think David Cameron said there's something like willing to take like 20,000 immigrants over the next 5 years, and I'd say that doesn't include obviously the number of people who are continuing to, the number is really unknown, how many illegal immigrants are managed to hide in lorries and vehicles and make it to the UK every single night. I'm not talking about maybe a couple of, a few per night. There's possibly, quite a number, hundreds, possibly a couple of thousand, at least every single year. They can't and don't search every lorry, every heavy goods vehicle, so we don't know how many people are, getting there. No, I mean, to be honest, some of them do slip through the system when it comes to work and jobs as well, because I've experienced it before in my previous job. There was one guy there, I don't know what happened, so I'll say that. I don't know what happened, but it turned out, but somehow I think it was more technically than anything else, but I've watched On the Border programs. I know there are some unscrupulous employers who will take on people they really do know that are illegal, that have no right to work, and again, it's an extremely difficult situation because you want to provide for the people of the UK, people of Scotland, but then there's so many people needing looked after as well, need our help. So it's an extremely perilous situation. It really is so difficult. Like I said, if I can wave a magic wand, click my fingers, say abracadabra, open sesame, whatever, to help all these people, I would. But we have a lot thinner resources in the UK than a lot of people believe. So it is very difficult. We do. I know. To be honest, I'll kind of start rounding it up. I know that it is kind of our duty as human beings to try and help these people. I know it is our duty as human beings, to provide what we can for these people, to help out our so-called fellow man and women, and all the kids. Like I said, some of so many people have drowned trying to go from the east into places like Greece. I mean, that is a continuing thing. I mean, probably even as I speak, which is obviously Sunday, the 13th of September 2015, there are probably people preparing or setting out to make that very risky, very dangerous journey to Greece, to Crete, to the island of Lesbos, which is it looks like really the aiming point for many of the refugees to start their journey to trying to get to Europe to make themselves different, to make themselves a better life. I know that we have a huge duty in order to really, to really take care of these people, to help in any way we can. I know we have a duty to do that, and I know there are many barriers to do it. I mean, the truth is nowadays, absolute truth nowadays, I could, if I worked, and even when I did work, and I worked for many years before being made redundant, you could, it's been a case, we've had it before, that like people like pensioners, people could spend their entire money, their entire month's wages, their entire pension, all the money they have every single month supporting so many charities. You see it always on the television these days. All of these continued adverts. Some of them, to be honest, some of them, in my opinion, they're too much. Not only there's too many of the adverts, but some of them, they're really. And obviously, if it was a business, if it was a biscuit company, if it was a cleaning company, if it was a supermarket, whatever it was, obviously these adverts would not be allowed. Just some of the adverts go overboard in trying to tug on people's heartstrings and try and make that appeal. You get the dog with really sad eyes, the puppy eyes, making. And I understand that there's animal charities, there's cancer charities, there's first aid charities, there's World Aid charities, there's so many charities these days. You can genuinely pledge a couple of £1 a month to so many charities, you would end up pledging your whole money every single month. And some pensioners have got themselves in financial difficulty in actually doing so. There have been several cases over the last couple of years here in the UK of it being brought to people's attention that and I know those pensioners are all but good intentions. They want to help as many people as they can, which again, as I said, is what we need to do. But it really comes down to a situation where people have limited resources, even governments have limited resources. I mean, I don't know. I think, to be honest, it's going to take a radical change in people's viewpoints about what matters, and a radical change of the government's focuses and government's points of view, which I don't think that will eventually, hopefully, come to a situation where we can resolve these conflicts, that we don't get the displacement of people from Syria, from the Middle East, from across the world that we do right now. I think it's going to take a hell of a change in people's behaviours, perceptions, and understanding and beliefs that will stop all of that kind of situation going on. I don't see it happening in the next few years. I would hope we would start to move towards that. I cannot honestly see it happening in a few years. Like I said, we do have limited resources in the UK, which is a great shame. We have limited space as well. We're an island. We don't have. I mean, there's many. I'm sure many people will say that there's miles of. I suppose we could build houses and so forth like that, but it really is going to take, I think, many years for people's viewpoints, for people understanding, and for people's beliefs to change enough so that we can actually start moving towards really, I suppose, the world that we want. You know, many people want the changes in the way governments work and the changes that we really need um, in order to happen. I don't see it happening in the next few years, and my opinion, it's such a great shame that I don't think we'll see it in any time soon.